Oh. All right. Okay. I feel like I've done this in a while. It's only been a couple days. I have my sign. I have my coffee. I have my tablet. I have my phone. All right, let's do this thing. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Today is Monday, August 12th? Yeah, 12th, 2019. My name is Jeremy, and this is my first cup of coffee. Is it August 12th? I think that's what I wrote down. It is. It's August 12th. Oh, well, I had a great weekend. What did I do? What did I do Friday? Oh, Friday. Cars. Friday I didn't make it to kickboxing. Because my new car did stupid things that we're not going to talk about. But bottom line, I ended up with a day off. That was kind of unplanned. So I worked in the yard and did some stuff around here. Saturday I worked in the yard and then helped a friend with a wedding. Did some kitchen work. And then Sunday went to the gym, did some errands, some shopping. There have been some issues with the plumbing, which are now resolved. So I did a lot of laundry yesterday. I'm very fortunate that the laundry issues occurred over the summer when clothes are fewer, so the piles were smaller. Getting backed up on laundry in the winter stinks. I don't know if any of you have ever dealt with that. You end up with mounds of clothing. Bottom line, as long as you got underwear, you're good to go. Oh. Good morning, Stacy. Fresh off her dominant victories. Stacy, those of you who may not know her personally, is part of the breaking team that we sponsor feels like too much, but support. And the breaking team was in force this weekend at an event and broke a lot of wood. And even a cinder block, accidentally. That's how powerful she is. She breaks cinder blocks when she's not trying. That was pretty awesome to see. Let's move this sign. That doesn't need to be here right now. So it was a good weekend. Hope you had a good weekend. It's a busy week, again, for me. That's not new. It's always busy. There are a lot of meetings, though. A couple interviews tomorrow. Knock on wood on one of them. It's a big name. Fingers crossed. Hopeful. Oh, man. Came home to a deer in the yard yesterday. Deer took a look at me. Ran away. A couple days before, I was awakened by a bear in the driveway. Oh, I did not know that Laura also broke concrete. Cool stuff. Lots of animals hanging out in my yard. And now with the apples starting to come down, I gotta harvest the blueberries. There's a lot of blueberries out there I gotta get. Should put them on my list. There's so much on the list. Anyway, all right. Today, let's check my calendar. Calendar. Calendar says. That was last week. There we go. Ah, yes, that day. So, I am working on a collaborative podcast episode. Talked about this last week. We'll be discussing 36 Chamber of Shaolin with a gentleman. And, yeah. After that, I'll probably get out of here. Yeah. So, there's some questions. Let's talk about them. If you want to ask me a question, drop it below. I'll answer it in the next episode of First Cup. I want more variety of questions. Not that the questions I receive have too little variety, but they come from too small a group of people. I want more people asking questions. This is no, it's not your show. It's my show. But I want you to make it your show. Okay. 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 All right. We got 3 questions here, and they're pretty heavy. So we'll see how awake I am. As a martial artist, how should we react if we witness domestic abuse among family members? Oh, that's a heavy question. Okay. First, I am not going to tell you how you should react in a situation like this. I am going to answer the question a bit, but I need to preface it with this. Because any situation like this has so much nuance that it is impossible for me to give you any kind of a standard. I think the heart of the question is, it's about protecting your family. If someone in your family is being harmed, how do you react? And I think as a general rule, you're talking about the same things that you would talk about in any self-defense situation or any defense of others situation. You're attempting to de-escalate, to remove from the situation. And if those don't work, then you're talking about slowly, but some kind of escalation of force to the minimum necessary. I would imagine, because this is a situation I've never had to deal with, but I would imagine that if someone is willing to be violent towards family in a situation where their other family are present, that it is not going to take a tremendous amount of conflict to get them to stand down. Especially if there are more people present. The more people that are willing to speak up, step in, the less it's going to take. My suspicion is that the personality type that would be willing to do that is probably pretty cowardly. It's a bully scenario. There are complexities with domestic violence that can make it challenging, which is why it exists, which is why it is so hard for people to extract themselves from it as victims. There's a lot going on there. You have the right to protect the people that you love. Have I answered that? How should we react? I feel that if you have the opportunity and the ability to defend someone, you should. You know, you take that Spider-Man quote. With great power comes great responsibility. If you have the ability to defend others with martial arts and the opportunity presents itself, you should be doing so. There's a lot of responsibility there. Stacy saying 911, get it documented. Yes. Yes, video even I don't want to say it's better. Yes. But then this also becomes part of the nuance in that there are times when, yeah, ideally get the law involved, document it. This is heavy stuff. Coffee. All right, let's move on. I feel like these questions came from Frank. I feel like Frank sat down and said, "Hey, Jeremy's not awake yet. Let's make his brain explode." These are afternoon questions, but I'm doing my best. Okay. How should someone react if a larger person who's mentally ill is getting violent? Whew. Okay. My philosophy with self-defense is the same regardless of who and the scenario. Can you de-escalate? Can you remove from the situation? If you cannot do those two things, if you can't talk the person out of being violent, if you, or they've gone 0 to 60, they're already so violent. If you cannot remove yourself and the other people from the situation or remove the offender from the situation, then you have to engage. And engagement should use the minimal force necessary. And this is something I think most of us are going to agree with. Hopefully. You know, just because someone's slapping someone else around and I have a handgun doesn't mean I shoot them and kill them. It may work up to that. Same thing happens with my hands and my feet. There are degrees of violence that can occur. So if someone is or is not mentally ill, it doesn't change things for me. I suspect that the nuance in the question is around whether or not you should give that person the benefit of the doubt, or have a little more caution in the way that you engage with them. I think you should have that with everyone. You don't know what's going on. You don't know what's happening in that person's head. Unless you know the person, you really can't make too much claim about, are they on a substance, or did something catastrophic just happen in their lives? It doesn't excuse their actions, but it does potentially change the way you would choose to engage. So, again, escalation of violence to the point that is necessary in order to control the situation and keep everyone safe. Again, document. Again, call the police. One of the things that's coming up that I'm thinking about that we don't talk about too much in martial arts is restraint, the ability to restrain people. Any of you out there who train in grappling are probably skilled at restraining people, especially one-on-one. But it can take a tremendous amount of time. It takes time, and it requires energy, and you have to maintain it. So the ability to restrain people with rope, the ability to keep someone pinned down in a less taxing way is something that might be worth exploring. I try to always wear a belt, and while it may not be the best thing to, tie someone's hands up, you can do it. So learning how to do that, not a bad thing. Yeah. All right. What do we got for the last question of the day? These are good ones. These are hold on. We have a new episode. It's Monday. How do I look at that? Here. My videos. Oh, okay. Today's episode is with Mr. Eric Jacobus. Yeah, thank you, Scott. He's a stuntman who's done a lot of work that we've had other stunt people on the show, but a lot of his takes it in a different direction. It's a really cool episode, and honestly, an episode that I had a lot of fun recording. I learned a lot, really enjoyed talking to him, so you should check that out, episode 422. All right, back to questions. Final question. Remember, ask me questions, drop them below. Is it enough in either of the above examples, the domestic violence and the mentally ill, to simply tell someone to call the police? Maybe. So this is where the nuance comes in. If you go back to the episode, it was a rebroadcast, we did it with permission from Sensei Ando, of the situation where he witnessed someone breaking into a car. And he and his wife managed to grab that person, hold him down for the police. In that situation, if he had simply called the police, the person would have gotten away. One of the things that may or not relate, one of the things that a lot of people don't think about when it comes to the police is response time. So I live out in the woods. I am, at best, from the time 911 dispatched to the time a police cruiser arrived, even if they had sirens blaring and they went as fast as they could on these roads, it's going to be, I'm going to say 6 to 8 minutes. Maybe 5. Okay? Think about these two scenarios and think about what happens in 5 minutes. What could happen in 5 minutes? People could die. And this is why I have security cameras. This is why I operate in a way that I don't assume I have that support. I think for most of us, even when we consider having the support of authorities, we don't talk about that response time. Even 60 seconds, which I don't think there's any planned police response time that would be less than that. People can die in 60 seconds. So while calling the police is something that in many, even most cases, should happen in any kind of violent encounter, it's probably not the first thing that you're doing. It's something that you do or you have someone else do if you're able to do more. We're at this point in society now where we seem to defer responsibility and blame onto everyone else. And I feel strongly that one of the reasons we have a lot of problems in the world is because we continue to push off the responsibility and the blame. I'm not going to turn this into a political show. I never want it to be that. So I'm not even going to give examples. But I suppose if you think about things that are important to you that are happening in the world that you would like to see changed, you can probably track it back to people not taking action, not feeling like they have the responsibility or the authority. So is it enough? Maybe. There's a situation, I'll end off with this, because this is something that is a pretty easy example of something that I think it showcases my mindset and a lot of other people's mindset when situations start to get messy. So, as I've talked about on the show, I coach CrossFit on Wednesdays, generally on Wednesdays. And a few weeks ago, I was in the middle of coaching a class, and somebody came in, and they asked somebody who was standing there waiting for the next class who the coach was, and they directed them to me, and this person was clearly very upset and started, not yelling, their voice wasn't that loud, but very angrily telling me that someone had parked in such a way that they couldn't get into a door. Okay, so I shift into problem solving mode, right? Okay, let's figure out whose car it is so we can get their car moved. And this person keeps pushing. They're upset. They're not happy with the way I'm handling the situation. They're giving me a license plate number and upset that I don't know whose car it is based on the license plate. And I can feel my adrenaline coming up because I'm being yelled at. This is a precursor to a violent situation. It doesn't have to become one. It is unlikely to become one. But this is one of those circumstances, and wow, we're going really long today, but sorry. This is one of those situations where I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how this person's going to respond. Clearly, there's no indication that I should become violent. My de-escalation is not really working. I'm not taking the steps of telling this person to calm down or anything, which probably would not have helped the situation. So I'm kind of at the point of, let's remove the situation. Now, It's a little bit of a modification because I'm not removing myself from the situation. I'm not walking away. Telling this person to go away without giving them what they want isn't going to help. And what they want is reasonable. So we're trying to accommodate. We ultimately identify the person. That person goes out to move their car. The situation could have escalated. The person who came in unhappy could have accosted this gym person. I tried to keep an eye on the situation. The individual who needed to move their car was 6'4", so I wasn't physically concerned. But even in that situation, I had a hard time stepping up. I have replayed this situation in my mind quite a bit over the last, I think it's 3 weeks, how I wanted to handle it differently. This person was being aggressive and a bully and disrespectful. And I could have said more. Wouldn't have done more, but I could have said more. And I wish that I had. Because every time someone gets away with behavior like this, they're emboldened to do it again, and maybe even more. So while I don't regret not punching this person in the mouth, which was how I felt in the moment, I do regret not saying, hey, take a step back. It's okay. The car is going to get moved. No one parked in front of that door to intentionally be disrespectful. It'll just take a minute. Take a breath. Why didn't I? Because I was fighting my own adrenaline. I was limited as to what I could do. So is it enough to call 911? Might be all you can do. But it doesn't mean that we don't try to train and replay situations in our mind for next time and try to get better, like everything else that we do in martial arts. So, great questions today. I'm wide awake now. I want to thank you for tuning in. Homework coming in a moment. Subscribe, turn on notifications. We do the show every weekday morning, 6:30 a.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube. You can catch it later at firstcupwithjeremy.com or in your podcast app. Today, I want you to think about the last situation you had like this one, where you've replayed it in your mind. I want you to take a moment and think about, realistically, how should you have handled it? If you are unsure, or even if you're just willing, I'd like you to talk to somebody else about it. Play it out with them. Get their input. Doesn't even have to be a martial arts person. Just, hey, this thing happened, and it's kind of been bugging me. And I want to know what you think about how you might have handled it. There's a lot that can come out of those contemplations. So I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day. I'm going to finish my coffee and bring the trash out. Take care. Peace.